Anger is a huge problem in our relationships. It does a lot of damage, and usually it's not even anger that we're feeling. We're going to talk about that in today's video. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I help people communicate more clearly for less conflict, more harmony, and deeper connections. So anger does a couple of things. One is that when you lose your temper, you do damage. There's fallout. Other people are at the mercy of that, and you can really hurt someone else. And so now you have to deal with that on top of whatever caused you to lose your temper. And then some people are really afraid of anger. So when anger shows up in the relationship, they just shut down and they withdraw and they stop communicating, and then you lose connection there. So kind of any way you look at it, anger isn't very helpful. And a lot of the time, it's not even what's going on. It's a cover emotion. There's something else you're feeling, but we go to anger out of habit. We just habitually have gotten angry because it feels safe. Anger is productive. It gets things done. It's protective. We're protecting ourselves, and we don't have to confront something else that might feel a little bit more vulnerable or tender. And so we use anger as our go-to. But there's another way. And so let me just tell you a quick story. When my kids were little, I was cooking dinner, and I had one that was about 1.5 years and then one that was around 4. And I had pasta water, boiling water on the stove. And I went out into the garage, and the older child followed me, my older son, and then he shut the door behind us. And he said, I shut the door because I didn't want Julian to get out and follow us into the garage. But the door had been locked. So now we are locked out of the house. It's the middle of winter. There's no windows open. There's not another door open. The whole thing is locked down. And inside is the little 1.5-year-old, and there's boiling water on the stove. I was so angry, or so I thought. I was so angry, I pointed at Jonah and I was like, you sit right there. This is your fault. Can you imagine being that young and hearing that terrible thing? Watching a totally dramatic situation that ended in us having to break a window with a big sledgehammer. It was so dramatic. And to think that you were told that that was your fault, which was completely not true. And I felt awful about it. I've carried that still to this day. I mean, I've forgiven myself for that moment in time, but I carry it as a reminder that anger is so dangerous. And really, all I was feeling was afraid. I was scared. I was scared because I had a little kid in there in a potentially dangerous situation. If I had been able to acknowledge that, I would have acted differently. But the problem is, I didn't know. So what we can do when we're feeling angry and mad is start to ask ourselves the question of, what am I really feeling? Because there's a big difference between being afraid or having hurt feelings or feeling embarrassed. Those are pretty different, but they all might get covered up with anger. And when we can get to the things that are underneath angry, then we can start to communicate those to people. We can start to talk through those. That's not going to do harm like when we lose our temper. That's not going to shut someone down the way angry can. But we need to figure out first what it is we're feeling. And you can use a feel wheel for this. So we have a feel wheel that you can go grab at the link that we're leaving. And this will help you get down to the subtle thing you're actually feeling the next time you feel angry. And in finding that, then you have the real thing to talk about. And you won't do damage, and you won't hurt anyone else. Like maybe a poor little 4-year-old hearing that something was his fault and seeing the angry face of his mom. We could prevent so many situations with this feel wheel and knowing what we're feeling and communicating that instead of using angry. So go grab yours today, and I'll see you next time.